Why are hand sanitizers bad for your immune system? Well, hand sanitizers work by killing bacteria. This is one of the things that is attractive to people. It says on the label, kills 99.9% of bacteria, molds, fungus, whatever it is that they kill. Well, a virus, right? This kills COVID. Well, first of all, sanitizing your hands is not going to protect you against something like a COVID virus, right? That's airborne. So that's one area that's just a marketing thing. But when it kills 99.9%, it doesn't discriminate whether they're good bacteria or bad bacteria. And so for us as human beings, we have to have a good and a good balance of bacteria on all different parts of our body. There's the gut microbiome. This is something that has been really studied recently in nutrition. And when you take something like an antibiotic, biotic, that's death, right? Anti, it's against bio, life, against life. So those types of things that kill off bacteria, we're trying to kill off bad, but we end up killing good and bad. And with your gut, it's much more pronounced. So taking antibiotics, it can have a cascading effect of problems down in the future. So that's one area. But with just hand sanitizer, again, it's antibacterial. Same thing with like antibacterial soap. It's going to kill off not just the bad, but also the good. And so your immune system needs to have that good bacteria so that it can have a healthy overall balance, because the good helps things like come in through your skin and out through your skin. So when it's just killing everything, it doesn't allow for our body to communicate with nature in the right way. And that's our problem, right? We are getting so far and far away from our nature that we're creating all these weird diseases, all these weird cancers, and it's because of our lifestyle. Now, you're saying, JD, well, what do I do if my hands are dirty? Well, number one, are they just dirty or are they infected with something? Is there something? And you go, well, how do I know? Well, if you wipe your butt and there's poop on your hand, that's when you probably want to, give it a little bit of a scrub. But even then, it's going to be soap and water. That's going to be your best defense against these things. Okay, there's something called defense soap, right? That people use in jujitsu gyms, and it's like popular with jujitsu because people get ringworm and they get all these viruses and they get all this bacterial infections because they're rolling around on mats with each other. Okay, and that stuff helps tremendously, and it's just soap. Okay, so there's natural things that you can do, but when you use these chemicals, like in hand sanitizers, it's going to kill off not just the bad, but the good as well. So again, your body's kind of playing catch up, and it's actually going to be more susceptible to a new virus when it comes in. Now, again, you're saying, well, I'm using all these things, so I'm not going to be susceptible because I'm killing off these viruses. But if your body is, again, being bombarded with something that kills off bacteria, again, bad but good, that good bacteria helps protect you. So the good is doing good for you. So you're killing that off. So it's like a one for one. And I've noticed that when hand sanitizer was everywhere, now it's not as prevalent, but now it's so much. I was using it more often. I noticed I felt like I got sick more often. When I used to teach tons and tons of group exercise classes at the gym that I worked at, I was always using mats, never sanitized them, never washed them, never cleaned them. I was always going from one thing to the next, barely ever even washing my hands. My immune system was charged and ready because it was constantly being exposed to things. If your body's never exposed to something, it can't build up defense. It can't build up antibodies towards that. So when you kill it off, when you get rid of the chance of something building up its defense, your immune system is a defense system. That's what an autoimmune disease is when that system goes haywire and it starts attacking everything. So we want to protect ourselves from just killing off everything and making sure that it has a healthy balance of the immune system. Okay, autoimmune diseases come from different sorts of reasons, stress, food intolerance, all that kind of stuff. But that's again the system of your defense system is now, it can't dissociate between the foreign invader and yourself. So it starts attacking yourself, and that's when you get all these symptoms. So for us, practically, soap and water, that's going to be the best thing to clean your hands. And again, this antibacterial stuff is going to end up killing good and bad. We want to have that balance. And if you're exposed to things more often, again, if I'm exposed to too much too soon, then it's going to create a sickness. But if I am constantly being exposed to things on a low level, think about like a kid, all right? Or think about a bubble boy, right? Okay, so the difference between a kid, they get exposed to all these different diseases, they get exposed to all these different strains of flu, versus bubble boy. Bubble boy, let's just make an imaginary person that is living in a bubble. They never get exposed to anything their whole life until they turn 16. And then you pop the bubble and you let them go out into their life. A simple, common, little, easy cold, a sniffle, is going to end up being so dramatic for that person that hasn't built up this defense, hasn't built up the army of their immune system. Whereas the kid who's had these experiences, has had some sicknesses, has had some exposure to bacteria and viruses and things like that, you're exposed to these things all the time and you don't have any symptoms because your immune system is working. But if we start killing off our immune system by using hand sanitizers, by using antibiotics, your body is going to be playing catch up. And so when something does come along that is much more dangerous, your body's not going to be able to handle it. So that's why, again, we want to try to strive for a nature balance. Okay, our body look at animals, look at things in the wild. They're constantly being exposed to dirt and to all these different things. And they don't have these freaky diseases like we do. We get these wild, crazy diseases, all these different types of cancers. Do dogs get these? Yeah, now they do because they eat our food and they're exposed to the same chemicals in our houses and things like that. So again, you're never going to run away from these things 100%. But when should you use them? You should use them sparingly. You should use them in situations when maybe I was exposed to something weird, someone's blood, okay? Something like, it's like, okay, maybe I should take a little bit extra precaution in that instance, but on a daily basis, right? If you're using this stuff all the time, you're gonna be killing your defense system. You're gonna be weakening your immune system. And then when something comes around, you're not gonna be ready for it. So use it sparingly, if at all, and then think soap and water with your wash. Try to avoid antibiotics if you can. If you have some crazy disease, of course, it might save your life. But I was given antibiotics like twice a year for throat problems, all right? I would have strep throat or tonsillitis or, things like that. And a lot of that was just coming from my diet and me not being prepared with my immune system. Now I never get that. Like I said, I was working and I was training 8 group classes a week, lying on these crazy mats, giving people high fives, all this stuff. And I'm telling you, barely ever washing up in between because I had to go from that to training another client. And I was just constantly a whirlwind of, all these different things. And I barely ever got sick. I really, during that time, I don't remember ever getting sick or calling out. So, okay, maybe that had to do with, eating healthy and exercising and doing those things. But you'd think if the theory is you're exposed to these viruses and you're exposed to these bacteria that you're going to end up with symptoms. Well, why did I get any of these symptoms? So when you're strengthening your immune system, when you're not afraid of these things all the time, you're giving your body a chance. Obviously, you don't want to just be swimming in sewage and things like that. That's actually something with George Carlin, he talks about that. Why didn't we get any of these diseases? Because we swam in raw sewage. Got to check out some old school George Carlin stand-up comedy. But he's got some truth to it. If you build up your immune system as a kid, you're going to be more resilient down the line. Like I said, think about Bubble Boy. If you never are exposed to anything, you're going to have a much harder time later on. And for me, that was me when I was a kid. My parents sanitized, cleaned everything. And I got more and more away from that as I got older. And again, I haven't had tonsillitis or strep throat in 10 years. I used to get it twice a year. Now, again, I've changed my diet. That's a big part of it. But I've also understood this relationship with balance and not having to be overly cleaning myself. Okay? Obviously, when you need the right time, take a shower, okay? That should be, you know, standard. You should be doing those things. I am very clean still, but I don't have that obsessive compulsive, you know, with it, and it's actually benefited my immune system versus doing the opposite. So that's all I got for today. Hope it helps. Next time. See ya.